discussion around differentiation probably has never been more important than in this very second that we're talking right now. If you just look like everybody else and you've been struggling to grow, then you're out of business. By the time you listen to this podcast, whether it's immediately or 6 months down the road, like you're going to be hurting big time. Like if you are plateauing or on the decline right now, and this is about to come, it is going to hurt you so much more if you're not like, what can I do different? How can I stand out? Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Unstoppable Marketer Podcast. With me, as always, is Mark Goldheart. Mark, how are you? We're just coming off a Memorial Day weekend. For those of you who are listening to this 2 weeks later or whatever.
Yes.
Good. You have a good Memorial?
I did. I saw some things.
Nice. What does that even mean?
This was out in the world.
Was your family gone?
Yeah, they were.
You were solo?
I was solo dolo.
Yeah, you were somewhere in like rural Utah.
The West Desert. I was where men don't wander very often.
You were where what's her name was buried? Susan Powell.
Yeah, I do think Susan Powell was buried somewhere out there.
Yeah. That's, I mean, the GPS tracker.
I can't remember. Is it really there?
It's West Desert for sure.
Yeah, but there's like,
Well, it's two things. They had a GPS or like his phone.
Is kind of two different things. But
his phone pinged out in the West Desert the same night she went missing. It was like a wild snowstorm. And then all of his kids, when they were interviewed by the police, were like, we were driving.
It was in a collapsed mine shaft out west.
That's where you just were? Or where they think she is?
No, see, I don't know if it was. You know what? I'll try to find out. But
go listen to the Cold podcast. If you ever,
we'll find out.
Are you listening to it right now? It's good. It's phenomenal. Yeah, for those of you who don't know, this is like
it was in a
missing murder case of Susan Powell. And I saw your moose.
And I got a moose antler.
That shit was shed.
That was shed.
Yeah, I saw your stories.
Yeah.
Cool
stuff. And went to a wildlife refuge out there in the desert. There's an oasis out there. Did you know that?
No.
There's pelicans and
cool.
Migratory birds.
I just swam.
I had some pronghorn running next to my car at like 35 miles an hour.
That's cool.
Saw fox hunting. Yeah, it's pretty beautiful.
That's awesome. Yeah, I just swam. Played tennis.
That's cool.
And pickleball.
Pickleball
tournament. I was the champion.
With your family?
Yeah, me and my grandma. Grandma Peggy. We haven't talked about Grandma Peggy.
Oh.
In a long time.
Shout out Grandma Peggy.
Podcast favorite. Grandma Peggy.
She's got a little zip in
her and I were the champions.
In her swing still, huh?
Just saying. Shout out to GPEG.
Well, what I was thinking about on some of my adventures recently is because I take my kids out a lot. One of the comments I always get from people is like, there's a lot of dads that like want to do it, but don't because they don't have anyone to like guide them.
Show them the ropes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a lot of good dads our age.
Yeah.
You know, maybe they went camping a little bit when they were kids, but they're like, I want to go have some adventures with my kids. But then like,
there's a barrier of entry.
There's for sure a barrier of entry. Yeah. I was thinking like, man, should I either make content around that or should I to help people? Like, you know me, I don't really care too much about the influencing game. I respect the influencing game, but I was like, do I help dads like do this or do you create an experience? But then I was thinking about AI and I'm like, is there for brands to think about? There's going to be an avalanche of AI content in the next 5 years. I mean, like there's going to be so much content and especially as it becomes better and better and it becomes indistinguishable from quote real life content, like or real content or man-made content is what we'll call it. Man-made versus AI.
Right. Especially with the Google.
What was the new Google model, Veo.
Yeah.
So the value there, right, is going to drop pretty dramatically. So it's probably going to get dispersed into real life experiences. Because I'm doing these things out in the wild. I'm like, well, AI can't replicate like feeling a moose antler for me.
Sure.
But it can replicate a video.
Sure. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Like the video you posted could totally be fake.
Yeah, easily.
Yeah.
So where do brands go? Because there's going to be
Well, there's going to be a deluge of
a huge revolution soon. Like the same thing with like Waymo. Like Waymo is going
self-driving
crazy
cars.
in San Francisco and Austin, and I think it's overtaking Uber.
Yeah.
I think it did overtake Uber in one of those cities and soon will in the other.
Really?
And so, okay, so if Waymo is taking that many rides out, like Uber is going to go down, but then what does that mean in the long run? The next 5 years for cars? How many people will even want to drive a car? How many people won't buy a car now because Waymo is so easy and so fast
Sure.
that they just take Waymo to work?
Yeah.
Like I don't want to spend $600 a month on a brand new car. I can spend $150 on
Between
something that's always here within 5 minutes.
A car, gas,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Insurance.
Yeah.
So you eliminate all that. You just take a Waymo wherever you want to go. So,
Yeah.
so like there's going to be that huge transformation in auto, I think, over the next 5 to 10 years. So what does it mean for like content too? Like that big gap. It's like it's getting bigger and bigger, right? Like this exponential growth curve of AI content is just at its infancy.
Well, this is what's going to happen.
And then it's going to go through the roof.
The what's interesting about content, and maybe I'm oversimplifying what's about to happen, but if you just take like TikTok, and in the early stages of TikTok, do you remember what was everybody doing on TikTok in the very, very early stages? That
I feel like it's the same thing they're doing now.
Kind of. It was just dancing.
Yeah,
It's
just dancing and lip
and
syncing.
trends. But and yes, there that definitely still exists out there. But what happened was dancing and trends helped you skyrocket views and growth in the early stages because there was such a low supply of that content, even though it's what everyone was doing at the time. But the demand was so high for just different content, right? And what's about to happen with...
Well, I think we have to zoom out a little bit here and sorry for our listeners. This is going to be a pretty exploratory conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully you guys have had the same thoughts. But if you go back to when TikTok was launching, there was a cultural shift there where people wanted more levity.
For sure.
And then
things had gotten really heavy.
Things seemed to get heavy. Like everything was a little heavy.
Yeah, it was like... So like brands were going in a way of like...
So take a documentary...
Emotional...
Yeah.
Connection. And then you have COVID that made that even more heavy.
Yes.
And so you're right. The trend of levity, which was like, I just need something like, maybe mindless.
We're just girls having fun.
Yeah,
and
mindless.
Like I'm just a guy doing a cool dance.
Well, I mean, listen, I've watched, I think some of these, like sometimes like you see guys like who are like doing these like dances and they're like making like funny, like not funny faces, but like sexy faces at the camera. And you're like, I've watched those videos before because they are like mesmerizing. But at the end of the day, I'm like, that's such a dumb video. But I did watch it. Like I watched the whole thing. It might have only been 20 seconds, but I consumed all 20 of them.
Yeah.
So like whether it's stuff I wanted to watch or not,
it's just mine.
Yeah. So there's just some
fast food.
Yeah. So I think what's going to happen with AI is you're going to have, especially in the brand case, right? Like you're going to have creators do this and you're going to have brands do this where, hey, I have struggled so much to either invest time or money into content. I know it's important. You're going to have people who are going to jump on the train early, and it is going to work in early stages.
Yeah.
Right?
No, it'll work, and it's going to work for a while, but
what will happen is there will get a point where I think people will start to recognize the same way like trends, like, okay, I've seen enough of this. I don't need to see these dances anymore. And yes, you're right. There are still some that excel.
But is there an argument to say that those trends are accelerating too?
What do you mean?
Well, what I mean by that is, as TikTok has grown, the trends don't seem to last quite as long.
Sure.
Because you have more people that do it, right? Like there's this kind of like new thing, then it turns into the old thing.
Right.
And in pop culture, those new things to old things lasted longer in the 90s and 2000s, right?
And so what you're saying is
and
the window
it
is
seems
just,
like the windows keep getting shorter and shorter because attention span, it could be a question of attention span.
It also could be the fact that another
or just
thing,
the fact that like there's always something quote new.
Totally. And that's probably more so what I think it is. Yes, attention span, of course.
So there's new and old, and the window of new to old.
But somebody's coming up with a new thing all the
quicker.
time. But none. So whether it's that or what I'm saying, I think that the concept is the same, which is this AI content is going to take off, and people are not going to be able to tell the difference between it. Right?
Correct. There very soon you will not be able to know the difference.
You will not be able to know the
and
difference. But eventually, what is going to start to happen?
They call that the uncanny valley.
Yeah, you're going to start to realize like content. You're going to start. I think consumers are going to start to look at content differently because it's like, hey, I don't know what's real anymore. So do I want, like, is this as cool if these 4 boys who have this cool dance routine
are just all fake?
Fake. I don't know anymore. So is that cool anymore? So the question is,
and there's a good answer to say no.
Right.
I can see this going both ways. And it'll be interesting to see how it plays out, which is when people started outsourcing manufacturing to China, China was always labeled as cheap and low quality, right? But a lot of people argued that, well, people will still favor American made because it's better or more quality.
Yeah.
Or Japanese made or, whatever. Because Japanese had, reputation for high quality too. But they were more expensive. Japanese made stuff and American made stuff were more expensive than Chinese made stuff. But it kind of turned out that a lot of people ended up not really caring and they just wanted more stuff that was cheap.
Sure.
So instead of having fewer good things, people just decided that they wanted more cheap things.
Yeah.
We're talking averages here.
Sure.
Most people.
Yeah.
Right. Instead of getting like a really nice pair of pants that'll last you for 5 to 10 years, a lot of people just like, I don't care.
Yeah.
I won't wear pants for 5 to 10 years. So I'll just get the pants that'll wear out in one.
Yeah. And then I'll buy a new pair if I still want to wear those pants.
I'd rather buy a cheap one for 20 to 80 than a really nice one for 250.
Yeah.
So there's an argument to say with AI. What I'm trying to say here is with AI content, I don't know if my gut tells me that people will have a natural kind of like disgust to it.
Yeah.
Like it's not cool when you know it's AI.
Right.
So if you can't tell if it's AI or not, like the question is, do they kind of tune everything out?
Yeah.
Or do they say, I don't really care. I'm just doom scrolling.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know what the answer is.
Like, I don't care because I don't know the difference, which is very Matrix,
but
dystopic.
But what's been very interesting, and it stayed true through athletes, celebrities. So we kind of have like the famous, the hierarchy of fame. And I don't even know if hierarchy of fame is the right word.
Attention.
But you got athletes.
Yeah.
Michael Jordan. People look up to him, right? Then you got celebrities.
And actors.
Right? Like, so that would be
actors and
musicians. Pop. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
Musicians. Yeah. And then you got influencers who are nobodies that became somebody.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And not through necessarily a specific typical talent. Hey, you're really good at acting. Hey, you're really good at athlete.
And yeah.
Right?
Yeah, okay.
So there's this hierarchy. So
although I would say celebrities, I'd just, for the sake, just call it celebrities, but I would separate those two.
Which two?
Celebrities into musicians and actors.
Okay. So like you got
but
athletes,
celebrities is fine.
Celebrities, musicians, influencers.
Yeah.
Creators.
Yeah.
Right? You put creators and influencers. So the point I'm trying to make is long before TikTok and long before social media, we were fixated on individuals.
Well, since the beginning of time.
Yeah. Yeah. Like my grandpa, who's Grandma Peggy's husband, Lee, he has been obsessed with John Wayne. Like he loves John Wayne. Like he is and that he learned about John Wayne probably through.
People tend to like people.
Yeah.
I think it's that simple. And then people who do, quote, what they see as extraordinary or alignment type actions with them.
Yeah.
Like they'll always gravitate.
So the question is, as you have so much content that is going to be fake, and as people start to realize, I don't know what is real versus what is fake, therefore I'm going to start to put more of an emphasis on everything being fake versus things being more real, that I am now going to be interested in the people who have a face and have had a face before this AI content flooded the market. I know who Kim Kardashian is because she's been around for 10 years or 15 years or whatever.
Yeah, and she's showing me videos of her.
Yeah, I know who Trevor Crump is because he's been creating videos for the last 5 years, and I can tell that this is real. Are people who are creating content now and who start creating content now before this deluge of fake content
I think it's
are they
layered.
going to be rewarded?
I think it's layered. I think yes-ish.
Okay.
Yes-ish. Maybe-ish. And I have an example of why I think that, and it's Taylor Swift.
Okay.
Okay, I think when we are thinking of content, let's think about the music industry, because the music industry already went through something similar to this.
Okay.
Which is what happened when streaming became mainstream.
When like Apple Music, for example, or
Spotify and Apple. Yeah. What happened to the music industry? What happened to albums? Albums used to be the number one way for them to make money. And
sure.
But now you had everyone's album, everyone's song readily available whenever you wanted it.
Right.
Okay, so what happened with Taylor Swift is...
I don't know.
Well, yeah, she's a great musician-ish.
Right. Well,
she's a good musician.
Listen, you don't like her music, but there's no doubt that she's a fantastic musician.
Yes, no doubt. Yeah, I'm not it's not my type of music.
Listen, anytime we talk negatively about Taylor Swift, we've been
decimated.
I wouldn't say decimated, but you get some crazy people who come after you.
It's fine.
Yeah. She is a great
I'm not a pop guy though.
Artist, but this is not your cup of tea. The same way that the people who like Taylor Swift may not be listening to Metallica, who is also a fantastic artist.
Yes, they're both great.
Fair?
Yeah.
Go on.
Yeah, she's
What
great.
happened to Taylor Swift when streaming?
Well, why is she the number one artist? Is it because of her music? I would strongly argue there's no way.
Okay.
It's because she created live experiences that turn into a movement that people feel like they need to get a part of.
Yeah, I think you mix that with also her music, dude.
I'm not discounting her music.
Kind of creates some of the
but
experiences
it's not
for
just
people, right?
the music.
Yeah.
It was this whole experience that she did with her tours.
Her tours, her Easter eggs within songs.
Easter eggs, like she created these experiences for people.
Yeah.
It wasn't, and I know music is an experience, all right? So don't come after me, people. I get it. People love her songs, but I think people love her songs even more because of the natural momentum that Taylor Swift carries with it, right? Like this idea of being part of something.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying is music carries more weight when you're a part of something because of the music.
Okay.
And she created experiences and live experiences, real life experiences for people. And I think that's what has partly carried her music. A lot of people went to her concerts and came away Taylor Swift fans because of the experience.
Oh, totally.
Like that was documented. Like a lot of people were like, oh, wow, like she is incredible.
Totally.
I went to
my wife just went and watched it in theaters because my girls wanted to.
Okay.
And she was like, I actually really like her music now. Not that she ever, you know, she was just indifferent with it. You know,
Yeah, she
if a Taylor
just
Swift
never
song came
gravitated
on,
towards
cool,
it. Yeah.
it's on. You know, yeah. She was just
So,
indifferent.
so what I'm trying to get to here with brands and how do you look at Taylor Swift? I mean, and what she did, like when there was an avalanche, an oversupply of content, how do you stand out?
Yes.
And then how do you create something outside of just this inundated environment? Like the inundated environment is going to be your social media channels.
Yeah.
You're going to have so much content, so much, you know, competing content and brands and whatever.
Yeah.
Well, how do you create something that's a little outside of that? So obviously your product, like you can do that through your product and virality of your product or whatever, like how good of the actual human experience is with your product. But I do wonder if this is a door opening for people to create real life experiences and communities again.
Yeah.
Like that was a big topic back in
Well, that's already kind of
the 2000, or, you
Oh
know,
yeah, I remember back in
2015 to
2018.
2020.
Yeah, in 2018 we were creating experiences when we were working on the brand side of things all the time, and it was awesome, you know.
Like a person who does a good job of that is what's her name? Like Sammy Clark.
Yeah.
I know that she's done some like big meetups for her fitness.
Yeah, it seems like people in the fitness space
These big forum
can do that
meetups
well.
and stuff,
Yeah.
like where you go and you have an experience. And of course, that's such a small percentage of people that make it. Like think about Taylor Swift fans. How many have actually gone to a concert?
Yeah.
A small percentage.
Yeah, totally.
But the concerts have created this movement and this image.
Well, and just so much content that even though you
And
may not have
content,
experienced
yes,
it,
and
you're
content.
watching the content of her doing these crazy things and experiencing this show.
So I do wonder, like, is that the next move for brands? Is it like, how do you create real life experiences?
Well, I mean,
Real life moments?
That's kind of resurged. So it was like, I felt like 2018 was kind of the end of that. Everyone still talked about communities. COVID could have put like a kibosh to it because you can't.
It did.
Right?
Yeah, a little bit.
And then it almost seemed like the last 2 years, 2023, and even now, that real life experiences have started to become a bigger thing, right? Like run clubs resurged.
Run clubs.
Like massively. You have mom walk groups, right?
Yeah, walk groups.
It seems to be like really easy.
Sports tickets have never been more in demand.
It seems to be really easy to do this without like someone who has something in the outdoors or the workout space. Like that seems like a very, like we work with a client right now who's doing like a fishing experience.
Yes.
Right. And that's going to blow up. They've got tens of thousands of subscribers to their product, and it's an outdoor product, and they're about to do this big fishing experience. And
people are signing up like crazy.
Yeah. Like it's going to go up. Roca, the sunglasses.
Uh-huh.
They have like a Strala, you know what Strala is like it's a community, online community where you can host different events, and they're a sunglasses brand that is very much like they sponsor the CrossFit Games. Like they're not sunglasses for somebody who's just fashion style. They're sunglasses for somebody who's fishing. They're sunglasses for somebody who's playing tennis. They're sunglasses for somebody who's golfing. Like that's what they're trying to do. And so they create all these events, these triathlete events, these marathons, they have like 600,000 followers in that like community alone,
yeah.
You know? So it's made a resurgence. It's really easy to do, I think, in the outdoor space and in the exercise
Of course.
space.
And I mean, because Taylor Swift is a good example because it's easy to do concerts because that's part of the deal.
That's just
when you're a musician.
Yeah.
But what she did with her concerts is not ordinary.
Yeah,
what she created with the experience and what she did with those tours and the hype.
Well, she went like 365 days straight.
Yeah, that's not ordinary.
Number one. Number two, her concerts are like 3 hours or 4 hours versus like a typical concert is.
Are they that long?
I think they are.
Because my other point in this conversation was going to be Joe Rogan.
Okay.
Because with an inundation of content, podcasts. Like Joe Rogan still is kind of the clear leader in podcasts.
Yeah.
And well, is that because he's Joe Rogan, or is it because he has these, he still does a format that's like, hey, 3-4 hours long. I just bring in people. We talk in a way that you can't really get, right? There's no curation around it, really. It feels raw. It feels, quote, authentic.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think
does that continue to stand out? Like, is that something that brands also have to figure out? Like, hey, if you want to stand out, you got to create like longer, more real things. I don't know, because I know podcast is a different form, right? Like you're not necessarily going to brands.
I think we're kind of getting two different things, not mixed up, but we're talking about two slightly different things that are the same. One is like we're talking about real life experiences versus like differentiation.
Right.
Right. So you like Taylor Swift didn't create a real life experience. Concerts have been around forever. She's been touring.
But she differentiated
since she was like 12,
hers in some really big ways.
But she differentiated how it works. Right. Another group that's like, have you heard of the Savannah Bananas?
Yes. That's another good example. Like that's a live event.
Baseball has been a declining, if I recall.
And the Savannah Bananas never would have been a thing 20 years ago. I'm telling you. No one would have gone.
But this guy, if you haven't heard of the Savannah Bananas, he did a bunch of market research to figure out what do people not like about baseball?
It's the Harlem Globetrotters of baseball.
Yeah, but
it's an act.
But it still has the purity of baseball, where Harlem Globetrotter doesn't as much, right? They're not really playing basketball.
I would not call the Savannah Bananas playing baseball.
Oh, they're playing a full game.
Yeah,
the clips you see
they're not
are few and far between.
Yeah, but I would not call.
Yeah, like I've talked to people who've gone to a game. They're like,
Pure.
you're watching an actual baseball game.
Right.
It's only an hour and a half, so it can't go longer.
The Globetrotters are basketball games, but nonetheless, we don't need to talk. We don't need to argue. I think it's the same.
But yeah, it's they just differentiated the game. Yeah. Right. So the baseball purist is not going to go watch Savannah.
And they did it in a way that's a live event.
Yeah. So I think differentiation is key. I feel like we talk about it all the time, and sometimes Mark and I get super like, I don't know if it's self-conscious or bored anytime we talk about the word differentiation, because I feel like it's like the reoccurring from ads.
Yeah, I mean, it's
to
like
your email strategy, to your product, to your
anything is differentiation.
Content. It's like, but here we are back at it again, right? Joe Rogan works for two ways. He worked number one because yes, he was Joe Rogan. Two, he was so different because he.
But again, Joe Rogan was not that big of a name.
No, he wasn't.
He's the Fear Factor guy.
In fact, he was on the decline.
Yeah.
Right.
He was the Fear Factor guy
because he was huge at Fear Factor, and then Fear Factor shut down, and I hadn't heard of Joe Rogan for years outside of MMA because he was involved in MMA.
Yeah, but MMA didn't grow until later.
Yeah.
Like his podcast grew faster than.
Yeah. So he just differentiated it, right? Yeah. He didn't do anything experiential. He just differentiated the listening, I guess, experience. You go from an hour-long podcast like these to a 3-hour-long podcast to
just
talking to a CIA agent who's talking about how.
Yeah, just open, honest conversations.
Yeah, like
now, how does that work for brands? I don't know, but I do think you should be really thinking about every day right now that like, hey, you're going to have an avalanche, and I mean that like entirely. You are going to see the amount of content being uploaded onto Instagram and onto TikTok go up from tenfold or 100-fold
from both organic and a paid ad perspective.
Yes, 10 to 100-fold in the next 3 years.
This episode of The Unstoppable Marketer is brought to you by BFF Creative. Let's be real, hiring designers and video editors can get super expensive, and that's why I'm excited about what BFF Creative has done. They've built a subscription design service that gives you the feel of an in-house creative team, but at a fraction of the cost, which I'm sure we all could use right now. From ad creatives to social media posts, video edits to full website designs, BFF gives you unlimited designs and unlimited requests starting at just $1,000 a month. The best part about this, their custom app makes it super easy to submit projects, give feedback, review work, and store all of your creative in one place. As a listener of the podcast, you get 25% off your first 2 months with code Unstoppable25. That means unlimited creative for as little as $750 a month. Go check them out right now at bffcreative.co. Well, what we haven't even talked about, like we're talking about one, ChatGPT's put out a new thing. They put that out a few months ago. Google's new video Veo that just happened. Was it over the weekend?
Yeah. And I mean, if you don't think that model is going to, ChatGPT is going to have their model in a month and then someone else in 2 months.
And then Meta's for you advertisers, Meta's put out their own creative, Zuckerberg came out and said, hey, we're trying to make it so that you don't even have to upload your own creative. You can just create it within here.
Yeah.
So there's going to be such a flood of content that the discussion around differentiation probably has never been more important than in this very second that we're talking right now. Because if you just look like everybody else and you've been struggling
and you're just doing everything, and you're not doing anything different,
then you're out of business. Like by the time you listen to this podcast, whether it's immediately or 6 months down the road, like you're going to be hurting big time. Like if you are plateauing or on the decline right now, and this is about to come, it is going to hurt you so much more if you're not like, what can I do different? How can I stand out? I think live. Because you have what
was our first one called? The Adpocalypse. That was our first podcast.
Yeah, I think our very first episode's called
Well, we're going to talk more about this and we'll call it the AI apocalypse because that's...
The marketing apocalypse is what we called it, I think. And the whole concept of that was like, look at all this technology that's only making things harder was kind of the concept, right? We broke down attribution.
Well, it was because that was like iOS 14 and how
that was
we talked about how it wasn't really real to begin with. But
yeah. So,
but this is a whole different game. This is, hey, you got to think about things are going to change so rapidly that you just have to be prepared, especially in your content and ad game.
Which is attention.
Yeah, how do you get attention?
Essentially,
and what does it mean
game.
when there's going to be 100 to 1,000 times more content out there?
And what's it going to look like when everybody's brand can look like? Literally, you're going to be able to say, hey, I want my brand to look like Our Place. I'm using Our Place because they're blowing up right now on social media. They're a kitchenware brand. Give me a brand exactly like Our Place.
Boom, you have one.
Done. Something that used to cost $30,000. Done.
But I do agree with you. Real people, I think there will be a premium in real. I don't know because again, a lot of people argued that American higher quality would be more important, but I think content's a little different. Like there's something
entertainment's different.
It is different. Like people do want and value the real. That's why live events are still a big deal. Like going to live and watching live events is a big deal because there's something real about it. There's something unknown about it.
Totally. It's why camping is so big for people. It's why the outdoor, we were just talking to Grayson, who's our podcast, our podcast producer, Film Lab. He was just in Zion's and we were just talking about how we used to be able to just drive up through Zion's. If you don't know what Zion's is, it's a beautiful national park here in Utah. And you could just drive through it. You didn't even have to go get out of your car to experience the beauty. It's probably the same. I've never driven through Yosemite, but I'm sure it's very similar because you can just drive through Yosemite. You can't even drive through Zion's anymore because of how crowded it is.
Busy it's got.
Because of how
people
want that experience.
Which is so crazy to me.
Every golf course here in Utah.
Always booked.
The average, if I remember, I could be off, but if I remember right, country clubs liked being at 65% capacity. Now there's not a single country club here in Utah that's not at 95% capacity. The whole purpose of joining a country club is the fact that I don't have to have somebody hitting into me and I don't have to wait on a tee. But you go to a country club and you're waiting on the tee box. It's like a municipal golf course because there's so many people golfing. What used to be an 18 hole, I used to be able to get to 18 holes in 3.5 to 4 hours. I played on Friday and it was 5.
Because there's that many people.
And it was midday. It wasn't Friday after work. It wasn't Friday at 8 a.m. It was Friday at 1.
Yeah, where golf was.
I wasn't home till 6:45.
Yeah, no one cared about golf. 10 years ago.
Yeah, so there is this crave for experience.
I'm sorry, some people cared about golf, but post-COVID,
COVID just shot it up,
huge golf boom.
Because people wanted out. Get me out of my house.
And then people learned the game, loved it, and now it's growing.
And content shot up during COVID too because people were on their phones. Video games have shot up. You've got Gary Vee. Have you heard some of the stuff Gary Vee is saying right now about AI?
No.
I'm realizing how much more I just don't like that guy. I know he's an original. I just don't like the things he says sometimes. I shouldn't say that because he's actually brilliant and smart and he's so successful. So me saying what I'm saying about him.
He inspired you so much in your
He totally
early
inspired
career.
me. Totally. But like he's now saying, he's like, I think that
sometimes
like
bands wear out.
he's like, your kids are going to be married to like AI bots is what he's saying.
No, he didn't.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. AI girlfriends.
Ugh.
And I think that there's going to be that.
Well, sure.
Right? There's going to be the person who is
I don't think that's ever
introverted, but he's saying it as if that's going to be the norm versus the like it's going to happen, right? That movie Her or whatever.
Of course it's
like
going to happen.
That's going to happen. It's probably already is happening.
It's
right. You heard about this like
has already happened.
Did you hear about that kid who committed suicide because his AI girlfriend told him to do it? Yeah,
No,
it was like a 13 or 14-year-old kid.
Terrifying.
Yeah, it was like 2 months ago. So it's going to happen, but realism, real things.
Realism, yes. Yeah, is there going to be a realism movement?
I think so. I think 100%. Like the next decade is.
Will people pay premiums for real experiences?
Totally.
I think that's already been proven. Yes.
Yeah.
Like the question is, how do you incorporate that into a brand? And we don't really know. We're going to think more on it, but
yeah,
the community thing is interesting because again, like Taylor Swift, a concert isn't going to be everyone that's your fan.
Yeah.
But somehow it created way more hype.
Totally.
Around your music.
Totally. Yeah, I think this one's always underrated. I feel like only because we haven't really figured out what the ROI is on it, but like going live, I think that's going to do something on social.
Yeah, I think live.
Because are you going to be able to fake that?
No,
I don't think so. Now maybe they build something where.
Well, yes, you can, but I think that there'll be ways to combat it. But yes, you can.
Do you think you can?
I'm sure there's a way. Of course.
I mean,
with
not
AI,
right
there
now.
will be, but no, not right now.
Yeah, like where I click live and we're.
But live, yeah, I think
me messing
live
up,
could
me
be
stumbling, me
premium. I think. What was I going to say about Taylor Swift? Oh, Apple. I know Apple's such a stupid example because it's such an obvious one that everyone always talks about, but isn't the whole thing that differentiates Apple is their
brand experience,
product and brand experience?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like at their core, that's what makes them and has made them so different for so long is that when you get their box, it opens a certain way, it smells a certain way, it looks a certain way.
Well, I think I've told you
it makes you feel a certain way.
I think I told you the story one time, like when the iPod, the iPhone first came out.
Yes.
And it had like the silver back.
In 2007, I think.
Yeah, it kind of looked like the iPod, but the iPod, the video.
Mm-hmm.
I remember one time, because I didn't have it, I had like a BlackBerry or something. I remember one time just seeing somebody talking on one. And I remember picking mine up and pretending, just kind of jokingly, and then feeling so sheepish that I had done it. So somebody could think that I had an iPhone, But that's kind of like the Apple experience now, right? It's like they've created such an experience
became
where
a status.
You feel like you look cooler.
Yeah.
You're more creative. And then they've followed it up with a good product experience, which is like when I get a text message, whether I see it on my iPad or my phone or my watch or my desktop computer, it's all coming into one spot. When I create a playlist,
know if they're messaging you off of Android or not.
When I create a playlist, that playlist is everywhere in my Apple Music. They've done such a great job with the product experience as well. Not just the how you feel.
And that's the other thing with, when I'm thinking Taylor Swift or concerts, is she already had a great product.
Yeah.
Which is the music.
Yeah.
But the experience that she created on top of the product.
Yeah.
I think is what amplified her into the next stratosphere.
Yeah, I think we're kind of to the stage now where table stakes is you have to have a good product.
Yes.
Yeah, because there was already the flooding of anybody can make a product in China now on Alibaba and sell it. Drop shipping did that, right?
Correct.
Drop shipping kind of effed everybody over, right? To say okay, if you don't have a good quality product, that's going to be tough on the business, so good quality product is now table stakes, but the experience and differentiation.
And we'll go through more AI stuff because I know maybe it's getting overtalked, but
Sure.
It is just, it's the thing. I mean, this is the biggest technological revolution,
Apocalypse
advancement
is near,
ever.
right?
It is.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I think
this whole podcast could have been AI.
not a whole ton of tips from us on this one. Besides, like, if you're not differentiating, you are going to get the feeling, you are going to get listen, you are probably looking at Google's new drop and saying, I could create my entire content strategy using this. And the answer is, that's absolutely correct. But just know that every one of your competitors is saying the exact same thing right now. Every one of them is. We just got off a phone call today.
Yeah.
With somebody saying, all right, how are we going to use this? And listen, we're going to.
Well, we are using it.
But are we making that
the
face of the brand in every single thing done?
Yeah,
The answer is no. So just know.
And just keep your ear to the ground because we have to understand as brands, again, there's a big difference between a brand selling status and a brand that's not.
Yeah.
You might be a brand that's trying to sell something that is a status, and you might be a brand that's not selling something that's, quote, status.
Yeah.
You might be more of a problem solution type brand, right? So, like, all of these are going to depend on how you approach your brand and your content strategy.
Yeah. Totally agree. All right. I like that. Marketing Apocalypse Round 2 next time. Maybe.
We might
have a guest.
Go touch some grass.
Yeah. Go ground yourself.
Yeah. Go ground yourself. Take your shoes off.
Go experience something. All right, everybody. Thank you for tuning in, and we will see you guys next week. Thank you so much for listening to the Unstoppable Marketer podcast. Please go rate and subscribe the podcast, whether it's good or bad. We want to hear from you because we always want to make this podcast better. If you want to get in touch with me or give me any direct feedback, please go follow me and get in touch with me. I am at the Trevor Crump on both Instagram and TikTok. Thank you, and we will see you next week.